Hey, you. It's your friend, Jen. And talking about that, today we're talking about friendship. And honestly, it might be even more important than romantic relationships. But we don't talk about it that way. So let's go on a little walk together. Send this to the friends you might feel need it, and let's explore this topic a little bit deeper. Yesterday, I had dinner with two new friends, and it really hit me. Like, I genuinely felt something shift in my body. And I had to run to the mic to tell you all about this. I just scratched the whole other episode I was planning to do. And, I wrote a couple of headlines for myself, and here we are because I really want to zoom in on this very important and deep topic, actually. Because the way I felt last night, that's not random. That's science. It's psychology. It's your nervous system. I'm in my 30s right now, and I always thought making friends would get harder, especially as an ambivert, and definitely, especially as a neurospicy person. But honestly, nothing feels less true. As long as you dare to put yourself out there, the right people do find you. You will get your tribe. So, this episode is also a love note to the people I've met in my 30s and the best people still yet to come. I love you guys, and you know who you are. Let's stay with that dinner for a second, okay? Because something very specific happened there. I felt calm and excited, open. I felt like myself. And weirdly, I didn't feel in a rush to leave. And that last part, that's a big one, especially for me where I can really inch towards a door or I have to mask big time. You feel me, right? Because usually, even in good conversations, there's a point where your body goes, okay, enough. But here, I could have stayed. Let me explore this with you. I got myself some questions and would love for you to answer them too about the last time you felt so comfortable with someone. Like, there was this huge platonic crush going on. And about these people, what exactly made me feel so welcomed? Was it the way they listened? Because they listened so intently and they were just there in the moment. And I was also listening back to them, and it was really a two-way street in terms of conversation. Was it the lack of judgment? Because there also wasn't any judgment going on. It was just a bunch of people getting together and expanding their knowledge about the world, which feels so pure. Was it the fact that I didn't have to explain myself? And this is so special to me because I'm double neurospicy and, they're also highly neurospicy. So it felt like I could just, yeah, not explain and just be understood. And here's the biggest one. Did I feel like I could be instead of perform? And I want to say big yes, because of all the things above mentioned. I could be, just be in the situation and not check my phone and not inch towards a door and not mask and be myself. It felt like family. And I want you to think about this too. When was the last time you felt so comfortable with someone that leaving actually felt unnatural? Because that feeling, that's not just a good vibe. That's your brain going, this is safe. Let's start here. And I'll keep this light, but there's actually decades of research backing everything I'm saying here and in all of the other topics covered. And I've sorted it out for you, so you don't have to do that. There's a study from 2005 by psychologist Naomi Eisenberger from the UCLA that showed something fascinating. Social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Let that sink in. Physical pain. Your brain literally does not distinguish well between emotional disconnection and physical injury. Because thousands of years ago, being excluded of a group meant having a risk of death because we were hunters and gatherers and we were fending off animals, and we really had to be in this commune to make ourselves useful and literally survive. So no group meant no protection. Your brain, it evolved to treat connection as survival. And another big one, a 2010 meta analysis by Julianne Holt Lundstad found that strong social relationships increase your chance of survival by 50%. So you have a 50% chance of getting older. And that's comparable to quitting smoking or maintaining a healthy weight. So if you combine maintaining a healthy weight, smoking less, and having a good social circle, your life will be extended by years and you will feel more at home in your mind and in your body. Holy crapscape. So when you feel lonely, that's not you being dramatic. That's your biology saying, reconnect. This matters. Alarm bells going off, and you got to do this. So, little question for you. When you feel disconnected, do you treat it as something serious or something you brush off? Because you deserve to treat it as something serious. And it's also up to you to undertake action on that part. Maybe on or offline. Friends can literally hide anywhere nowadays, although it is better to meet them in person. Let's go back to that dinner feeling for a little bit, okay? The calm, the softness, there's a concept called co regulation. We all know about this, but let's go a little deeper. And research shows that being around safe people lowers cortisol, your stress hormone. So it literally lowers by 30, 40, 50%, which is huge. And you need cortisol to survive, and you need it in stressful situations. Not being stressed is also not good for you, but every now and again, lowering it a little bit really increases your chance of survival. There's even a famous 2013 study by James Cone from the University of Virginia where people were put in a stressful situation, which is okay, is normal, it's good for your brain to puzzle. But when they held the hand of someone they trusted, their brain's threat response significantly decreased. And then you get to solve your life's issues a little bit more in a relaxed way. And why? Because your nervous system is not designed to regulate alone in the long run. So it's okay to fix your problems and to go through life and be alone, definitely. But you're not designed to do that the whole time. You literally borrow safety, strength, and love from others. It's a superpower. So when you think, I just needed to talk to someone, you weren't being needy, okay? You're just regulating when that happens. Another question for you, and there's going to be a ton of questions in this one, and I would love for you to answer them because then you really get an insight in your friendships and how you handle that and where you can improve. It is so important for you. And I want this for you. Okay, let's go back to the question. Who in life helps your nervous system calm down without even trying? I got a couple of people coming to mind actually, and speaking of, I'll send them this podcast episode as my token of love for them. Now, let's talk chemistry. Yep, there isn't just chemistry when you're in love. I mean, personally, I have huge friend crushes and basically no romantic crushes. Weird, huh? But it's a thing. It happens. Oxytocin, which is often called the bonding hormone, increases when you feel safe with someone. And we make oxytocin when we have a crush or when we want to befriend someone or when we're holding our baby or you need it because that makes sure that you can bond with a certain person. And studies from the early 2000s and onward show that oxytocin increases trust. So you feel more comfortable with someone, you get deeper in conversations, you want to be there for them. It also reduces fear and it deepens your connection. Why? Because your brain is constantly asking, is this person safe to stay close to? And if the answer is yes, it rewards you with oxytocin. So it doesn't only happen when you're in love. That's why with some people, you feel like conversations, they just flow and your body relaxes. And like for me yesterday, time just disappeared. And with other people who you don't make that little hormone, you're slightly tense the whole time, right? Even if you like them, even if you feel like, oh, this person could be good for me, but apparently they're not. And we'll go deeper on that in a little bit. But first, the next question: who feels like home in your life? And who feels like you have to adjust yourself to? Maybe just notice who came to mind and see what happens if you spend a little more time with them or a little less time with them. There's also a concept in psychology called social mirroring. Your brain constantly adapts based on the people around you. A study from 2014 from the social network research showed that your behaviors, your emotions, even your habits spread through your social circle because your brain is literally wired to belong. So it asks, what is normal here? And who do I need to be to stay connected to these people? Which literally means your friendships don't reflect you, they shape you. And for me, the shaping is so important because, are your friends expanding who you are or making you shrink? Because we are and we always will be the rule of five. The thing where you become the people you hang out with the most. In this sense, it's also wise to choose your friends well, by the way, but I sure do hope that we all understand that. And I also want to go here for a second because this topic also matters a lot. I've been through this and it still hurts more than a relationship breakup. I still think about one of my previous friends quite regularly. And because we don't have rituals for friendship breakups, no one teaches us how to grieve them. Because of that, friendship loss can feel confusing or invisible or deeply painful. And science backs this once again, but we don't talk about this often enough, so let's. That same research on social pain, it applies here too. Your brain processes the loss of connection as a threat to safety. Okay? It's a threat to your personal safety. Because that person was not just a friend, they were a regulator, someone you would text or phone, or if anything was up or down or going sideways in your life. They were a witness of the person who you were becoming. So it can feel really empty when that witness isn't there anymore. And they were a part of your identity. They took over a couple of things that you did, your behaviors, your little quirks, and vice versa. So when they're gone, your brain has to rebuild stability. Your body is looking for that person, and you need to fill up your time again. And you need to re-find that connection with someone else. That's why it feels so disorienting. And I'm wondering, Is there a friendship that changed you simply by ending? Because for me, there definitely was. I had this friend when I was younger. I was in my mid 20s, and we've known each other for a long time from middle school onwards. And then I got into a highly toxic relationship. And, rightfully so, she chose to step out of our friendship for a while I was in my toxic relationship, right? And afterwards, we rekindled. And afterwards, that friendship totally fizzled out. I think my relationship shaped me differently, and she was still in a very different mindset. So we had this unspoken friend breakup. She deleted me off socials. She never texted me again, and we stopped having Saturday evenings together. And that hurts. And it's okay that it hurts. And I want you to go through this I don't want you to have this experience, but I want you to let it hurt you because it happens and we don't talk about this. So, you know, once again, you have to rebuild. And that's okay. Go through it and accept it and seek your comfort and maybe also do talk about it with other friends. Here's something wild. Research from Oxford University in 2016 by Robin Dunbar suggests social bonding triggers endorphins, your brain's natural painkillers. And we love that. Like, I love natural painkillers. Like, my endorphins and my chocolate, I'm always trying to pump it up a little bit. And why? Because connection means survival. So your brain rewards connecting with other people yet again. So you get your oxytocin, you get your endorphins, you are protected, you have a community. And that's why laughing with friends feels so euphoric sometimes. And deep conversations actually feel energizing instead of draining. And connection literally reduces pain. So, another little question for you. Which friendships feel energizing instead of draining? Get more of that person. They probably feel the same and would love to go on a friend date with you, like at least every month or so. Why not? We all want to connect. And with a friend date, you don't have to do something super expensive or, you don't have to go all out. You can just ask each other, hey, want to come over to my place? Want to have dinner for an hour or two? And that's all it takes. It's all it takes. And you deserve it. But now I also want to talk about an uncomfortable truth. Not all friendships regulate you, some dysregulate you. And your body knows this before your mind does. You'll feel tension and bracing, and your muscles will feel uncomfortable, and you'll start overthinking. You'll start acting like this whole other person, and you're not yourself. And in the end, it will result in emotional exhaustion because your brain detects subtle threats, okay? Inconsistency about a person, saying like, oh, hey, I'll be there at 6 and they're there at 7, or, they're not consistent with texting back if that is kind of your unspoken agreement or things like that. And it also detects judgment. We feel it when someone is looking at us in a judgy way. We start feeling unsafe and we start adjusting our behavior. And your brain also detects unpredictability when, a friendship is volatile, and that activates stress in your body. Even if you consciously think, but they're nice, or hanging out with them is good for my career, or their friends are nice and I want to befriend their friends, you don't have to do that to yourself. So, where are you still calling something a friendship that your body experiences as stress? You may want to replace that. Chances are big they feel it too because we're feelingsy people. We have huge radars going on the whole time. And of course, you don't have to be too harsh about it, but it may be about damn time for the big convo with them. If you free up space for beautiful things for you both, you'll feel a lot better in the long run. And let's also talk about chronic loneliness, because that's also a tough one. Chronic loneliness doesn't just feel bad, it changes how your brain works. Research shows that it can increase your anxiety, and I know how it feels to want to isolate myself. But please, please don't do that for too long, okay? It can distort your social perception, no joke. So you feel like you either don't belong or like you have to act, or it runs really deep. And it can also make connection feel harder in the longer run for you, which has huge repercussions for your mental health because your brain shifts into protection mode. It says people might not be safe. Well, most people actually are safe. So you will withdraw, you will overanalyze everything, and in the end, you disconnect. And that can be a little bit of a soul death, right? So, another question for you. Do you ever feel lonely, even when you're surrounded by people? I know I have. And it's important to keep this in check, even maybe with some professional help. I mean, as you all know, I went through my fair share of therapy and things like that. It's okay, but keep it in check. You don't have to feel that lonely in the end. It happens sometimes. You're allowed to phase it through. It's okay when it's a phase, but not forever. And friendship is quite literally health. This is where it becomes undeniable. That same Holt Lundstad research in 2010 that we were talking about earlier, it showed that social connection significantly increases your lifespan. While loneliness, it increases the risk of heart diseases, it weakens your immune system, and it's bad for your mental health, as I've shown you before. Because chronic stress, that's what disconnect causes. Chronic stress damages your body, and connection reduces stress. So, friendship isn't just an emotional thing, it is physical health. Another question for you. What if investing in your friendships is one of the healthiest things you can do? How would you do it? And asking this myself, I think I'll be going back to the one where I said like, oh, ask people to go on a monthly friend date. I think that would be a good one. So the people that I really like, I'll just ask them for dinners. Nothing too complicated. Just a wine and a good dinner, and we cook together, preferably. That's also a good bonding activity, kind of team building. You figure out what you want to eat together and you just have a buttload of fun, right? And here's the relief: you don't need a huge circle. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggests that, humans function best with 3 to 5 close relationships and around 15 meaningful connections. We've talked about this earlier as well in another episode about Dunbar's rule, is the one about community and connection as well, but then more business and community wise. Because, your brain has limited emotional capacity. I cannot befriend 2,000 people and remember all their names. That's not going to happen. So, depth in this sense is better than quantity. And that's okay. Just 3 to 5 close people and a good social circle of around 15 other people. That's good. That's enough. So, another question for you: do you have your people, or are you still finding them? And if you're in your 30s or in your 20s or in your 40s and you're still finding them, that is okay. Even in your 50s, it's fine. I just want you to ask yourself, hey, am I finding my people or are they already around me? And can I write down their names or can I call them? Who are the 3 to 5 people that I would call in the middle of the night? And who are the 15 other people that I'm comfortable enough to hang out with regularly? That's it. That's enough. So maybe the question isn't, do I have enough friends? But do I feel safe and seen and calm in the friendships that I have? Because what I felt yesterday, that wasn't random. That was my body relaxing. That was my brain recognizing safety. That was connection. And honestly, talking about this with you makes me a little emotional because I think so many of us are walking around, so sorry, thinking we need to fix ourselves or become better or achieve more, when sometimes what we actually need is to feel held in a room with the right people. And I felt both sides, especially during my depression, the loneliness, the disconnection, the something is missing, but I don't know what. And then you start to feel all flat. It's terrifying. And then moments like yesterday, where everything just clicks. I just want more of that for me, but also definitely for you. Because you deserve friendships that feel like ease, where you can just be yourself, and softness where people are holding you, and laughter that lingers, and conversations that you don't want to leave, where you're sitting on a bus home and you just can't stop smiling, even though not all the topics were fun and games. You actually went deep, and that made you feel whole. So, if you're listening to this and someone came to mind, send this to them. Not because you have to, but because maybe they're one of your people, or you really want them to be. And if you're in a phase where you're still finding them, don't give up. Please, don't give up. Because they exist. And sometimes they're just one dinner away. Your friend always, Jen. I love you.